I definitely was dismissed by a specialist who, when the gallbladder was removed and now that was 2 or 3 years prior to the acne, but when the gallbladder was removed and I didn't fix it, I still had severe stomach pain and no one could explain it. When I met with him, he was pretty condescending. I still remember his words to me, and that's when it sticks, when you remember people's words from over 10 years ago. He probably spent 5 to 10 minutes with me and my husband to read me my endoscopy results and said, you know what, if you had to hold a gun to my head and ask me what's wrong with you, I'd say that you're just really stressed. And that was the end of the road. No guidance on how to live with my gallbladder other than, oh, you'll be fine in a couple weeks. Just don't eat a lot of pizza and ice cream right now.
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of your acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director in the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie so we can dive deep into your acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence. All right, everyone, we have another fun episode today. As you know, we've been doing a series and we've been showcasing a number of our clients because we think it's so important when you're able to hear from women that have been in your place and are now, working through the things to get to their goals as well. Because it's one thing for Chris and I to sit here and say all of the things, but I think when you truly hear it from somebody that's experienced it, that's been in your shoes, can be so powerful. So today we have one of our amazing clients, the lovely Melissa, and she's joined by her sweet pup, Kona, who I love that you say that she is just glued to your side. You guys must have such a beautiful little bond.
We do.
Oh, I love it. And we love dogs here. So she was more than welcome to join us today. The more dogs, the merrier is our motto here. So what I love.
And by the way, Melissa, in Katie's
Where's
house, that whole more dogs, the merrier, that is only Katie's philosophy because I don't think Frank, her husband, holds on to that same one after Archie. But, we'll let Katie live in puppy land.
We have 2 dogs and I want a third. Actually, if I could have one of every lab color, I would. But I think my husband would leave me. He would leave me for sure. He's like, I draw the line at 2 dogs. I was like, what happens if we have a third kid? We need 3 dogs. It makes it even. Yeah. Yes. We digress. So let's dig into it because Melissa, you're actually still an active client with us as of the airing of this. It's July. You joined us back in February. So I think it's really fun to be able to talk through what has your experience been like? But before we get into that, I would love to know what was it like dealing with acne as an adult woman, right? Like how long had this been going on for and how was this impacting your day to day?
Yeah, it actually been going on for quite a while. I would say 7 or 8 years ago, I reached a point where I thought I'm not able to handle this myself. And so naturally I went to a dermatologist and I was put on doxycycline. And the first year or so, I wasn't very consistent in taking it. It was difficult to remember. I had a very stressful job. I work for the Milton Hershey School, which is a boarding school. Mm-hmm. And at the time I was living with 12 teenage girls. Currently I live with 8 elementary girls.
Bless your soul.
Right?
And so, speaking of the dog, my husband, and we have 2 teenage daughters. So my husband is the only male in the house. Even the dog is female.
Maybe it's bless him.
Yeah. Bless Sal. So with living with all these teenage girls, mm-hmm. and at that point I was in my mid to late 30s, I thought, okay, this has to be hormonal and I can't handle this myself. I mean, just living with them definitely affected my cycle. So I was making the connections. I went to the dermatologist. I started on the doxycycline And for the last 7 to 8 years, I would have my yearly appointment with her and ask all the questions. I didn't like being on an antibiotic. She would respond that it was too low of a dose to be concerned about. But then as the years went on and the acne continued to get worse and topicals that she prescribed weren't doing anything, she kept increasing the dose. And eventually I was on a very high dose and not seeing any results. And I was losing a lot of time in front of the mirror. I had this embarrassing habit, this is very vulnerable, of picking, which I hated, and anxiety surfaced. So that just fueled the picking. And it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, and I hated the amount of time that I was losing. And then the real crisis came this past December, where I got a viral infection in the middle of December, which was normal. I work with 8 elementary kids.
You're going to get sick.
I'm going to get sick. But at the beginning, right before I got sick, I got the worst cystic acne I've ever gotten in my life. I actually had a swollen upper lip. And at the end of the virus, the acne was also just excruciating, painful, embarrassing. Our employer throws this amazing, beautiful, expensive holiday gala where everyone gets gussied up. And I thought about not going, which is not like me. I'm a very social person. And I went. I just put on loads of makeup and went. But I had no idea what was happening to me. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I did happen to see my doctor at that point. And so she said, I'm going to refer you to another dermatologist, one that I really, really like. And it's a whole team instead of a single practitioner. I thought, great. In January, they give me a call and they say, because, we're happy to have you as a new client, but because this is just acne, we're not going to be able to expedite your referral. And I got off the phone and I thought, okay, initially. And then I was mad because I thought, this is not just acne. This is not normal. This is crazy. And, crazy is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So, also vulnerable, Instagram motivated me to help me grow in my gray hair. And
I love it. It's beautiful.
Instagram was very helpful. And I thought there have to be other women out there like me. And so I just started to try to find other women. And eventually I stumbled on your podcast. And I remember I was walking around our student home doing my daily tasks. I do a lot of laundry.
A lot of laundry.
I do a lot of hair and a lot of laundry. And I was listening to the podcast because I've always been a lifelong learner. And I got done with the podcast and I looked at my husband and I said, I think I found people that can help me. And all these health issues that I thought were disconnected, like high cholesterol. No one could ever explain to me why I had high cholesterol and I'm a relatively healthy person. There were you were naming all of them and I couldn't believe it. So that's how I got here.
And I want to rewind a little bit to say, when they said to you it was just acne, because I think those 2 words, just acne, is so invalidating. Oh, I got bubbles. I got balloons going everywhere. That's
Katie's having a party over there.
If you're watching on YouTube, of course, you get all the effects on our podcasting. But just acne, I think, can be so invalidating for women because it really doesn't look at how impactful it is to your day. It impacts your mental health. It impacts how you feel about yourself. It impacts how you show up in a day. It impacts the fact that you didn't want to go to this incredibly beautiful holiday party that your employer was showing. To say it's just acne really takes away from the severity of it and how much it is impacting the individual.
So invalidating, right? So invalidating.
Yeah. And for you, you mentioned this was starting when you're in your 30s. So now in your 40s, it's that thought process of, oh, acne is just a teenager thing. It's just teenagers that get it. And I cannot share enough how many women we get in their late 30s, their early 40s, their late 40s, even into their 50s that are struggling with acne, that feel so alone because they're told this is just a teenage problem.
Absolutely. In December, I knew I was a month away from menopause. Oh, we're just being all kinds of vulnerable today.
Super vulnerable today.
Welcome.
Welcome to the podcast.
It's too good not to share. And, I had thought as well that maybe once I reached then that the acne would dissipate, and it was worsening.
Yeah. And I'm so thankful that you're being so vulnerable with our audience today, because Melissa, there's so many women just like you reaching menopause, in their 40s and their 50s that are feeling so alone, thinking, I can't believe I'm the only one that's dealing with this. So just by you sharing, it's so validating for those women who are listening, thinking, I thought I was the only one.
Good. That's my hope.
Absolutely. So for you, we know that you were, like you said, you were a fairly healthy person coming in, right, Chris? When we're looking at your file, we can see you're taking great supplements, you're getting, those really great probiotics. You were trying all the things, you were eating well, but you were still having these issues. So Chris, I would love for you to kind of take over, and maybe you and Melissa can talk a little bit more about, like, what were those imbalances that she was missing when we did really look at her file, when you were able to make those connections, and when we were looking at the results of her HTMA.
Right. I know. I always say Melissa always comes with the best questions. She really does. You show up for yourself. So one, that's a win, and I love it. I remember sitting on the intake with Melissa, and like, how can I explain it? It was just, there was this ever presence of bubbly, outgoing. There was this underlying anxiousness, though. It was just that. And I watched, because we do obviously interactions just like this. They're live. And Melissa, right? You kept opening and breathing through your mouth to take gulps of air in at time. At one point I stopped and I said, are you breathing? Where are you breathing from? Okay, let's get it into the nose, right? And one thing I just want to say is, and I commented because we just met recently, is that is the first thing I've noticed go away. Right? Even today, even right now, how many times have you seen it? And Kate, you would have picked up on it, right? Because it's to get that air in.
Not once.
And just the over, and like, I mean, Melissa came in and she had all these questions and she wanted them answered. She needed to know why. And I knew I had to be on my toes. I knew I had to be on my toes, right?
We love those clients though, because they truly want to understand the why. Like, why is this happening?
Yes. It's not combativeness.
No,
it's
never.
Not the fact that she's just like, are you sure? There was a lot of trust that had to be built in that relationship too. And I said to her, in 7 years of taking back to back antibiotics, this is not going to be eradicated in 6 months of the program. That was transparency.
Absolutely.
And Melissa kind of sat back and she's just like, okay. Right? I don't, and later on she formulated all those questions. But that probably, Melissa, was that comfortable for you to hear, you know what? We can do a lot of changes and we can definitely support you. However, after, when we look at that compound, I call it compounding insults, fair, triggers.
Yes.
We're going to take this slow, because at this point, the body is like, as much as you didn't trust me, your body didn't trust you. Right?
1,000%.
Yeah. So
when you said that to me, and I eventually confessed, I did trust Chris right away. Again, I love your podcast, so I felt like I knew her a little bit. And I did continue to trust her by choice, and trust the process.
Which we call faith.
Yes.
Right? You took a leap of faith, but the trust is, you didn't fully know what the heck was going on. What is this Chris person saying? Right?
And then when she knew I was teetering, she would say, okay, I'm glad you're trusting the process, but when you get to the part where you're not sure that you trust, just ask me. Just ask Chris. And I was like, okay.
Just ask.
Just ask. So I did a lot of asking. But yeah, when you, Chris, said 5 years, that was a gulp of big air right there. That was not what I was expecting. And I had to get used, but I did want the truth. I was ready to receive only the truth. And I appreciate that you equip people with wisdom and knowledge, and that it's not meant to be a quick fix. It is meant to be empowering and a huge learning curve. Otherwise, how do we go live the rest of our lives?
Absolutely. And I know having that transparency to say, this isn't going to be a quick journey. This is going to take some time. And I think it's so great for you to share that with everybody, because we live in this Amazon Prime world where we want everything yesterday. I want my skin cleared in the next 48 hours, or how is this going to work? But when, you've had years of things happening to your body, years of antibiotics, or for other people, years of Accutane, or whatever that may be for that individual, it's not just a few short months of, oh, take these things. Of course, you can get so many wonderful and beautiful gains in a couple months. However, we have to remember your health is a lifelong journey, right? It's even Chris and I have been doing this for decades now, and we're still every day, every week, every month, we're still working on our own health, because it's not something that just goes away.
It's not something that also works on its own.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the environment. We no longer we're not out there cultivating and growing and loving our food systems. We go to the grocery store, we take our car, we go to the grocery store, we get back in our car, we go home, right? We're using Teflon pans, we're using plastic utensils. Like, there's a lot going on. So when Melissa's whole file was there, right? No gallbladder. Melissa, anybody ever explain that without a gallbladder, you're going to suffer to emulsify your fats?
No one ever explained that. I was dismissed again, and I appreciate that you name that several times in the podcast as you're educating women, because I don't think I didn't even realize until I met with Chris how much I had been dismissed. And advocating for myself increasingly becomes more important as I grow stronger in my own personal journey. And I definitely was dismissed by a specialist who, when the gallbladder was removed, and now that was 2 or 3 years prior to the acne, but when the gallbladder was removed and I didn't fix it, I still had severe stomach pain, and no one could explain it. When I met with him, he was pretty condescending. I still remember his words to me, and that's when it sticks, when you remember people's words from over 10 years ago. He probably spent 5 to 10 minutes with me and my husband to read me my endoscopy results, and said, you know what, if you had to hold a gun to my head and ask me what's wrong with you, I'd say that you're just really stressed. And that was the end of the road. No guidance on how to live with my gallbladder, other than, oh, you'll be fine in a couple weeks. Just don't eat a lot of pizza and ice cream right now.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like, it's so infuriating to hear just being dismissed like that, just saying you're stressed. Because I actually had severe stomach issues back in 2018, and my doctor referred me to go get an endoscopy, and I went into the specialist, and I still remember her words saying, "You're too young to get an endoscopy." So she said, "You're too young to be dealing with any of these issues. I'm not giving you an endoscopy. You can leave now." Wow. And I walked out, and I was like, okay, that's that. So I really appreciate how dismissing it is to be in so much pain and to not be given any answers.
Yeah, I appreciate how vulnerable you guys are as well with your own podcasts. And I think that's part of what makes both your coaching and your program, really the whole package, but it makes you really endearing and really easy to relate to, because you've shared enough snippets of your own journey to know that you're in it with us. So thank you.
Thank you for that. We are definitely in it with you. It's interesting because, Chris and I have a podcast. So people are like, oh my gosh, so cool. You guys have a podcast. You must be perfect in all the things, but, we're really not. We are moms. We are women. We're doing all the things. So we are right there in the trenches with all of you every single day. So we love, love, love being able to connect more with our clients like this. And Chris, of course, one big component that we do with our clients is we run an HTMA test for every client that comes in. The results get interpreted by the licensed clinician, and then we're able to see, like, what are these imbalances going on inside the body that have been causing all of these issues. Not just your skin issues, but all of the other symptoms that you had come in with. So, Chris, when we're looking at those results that the clinician provides, what were the things that we were seeing from Melissa that were really the red flags?
red flags was overly mineral depletion. Mm-hmm. And if we think about it, even let's look at the antibiotic use. The fact is the good and the bad, they go. All of it goes, right? So when we come to the ability for absorption with the insult, not on a pharmaceutical that even puts pressure on the liver, sulfur was probably the highest mineral in the entire panel, meaning the liver is likely not detoxifying well, or the sulfur pathways aren't doing well. And now diet does play a role in it, right? Like vegans can have low magnesium and calcium, maybe even some strontium, these types of things. And Melissa, you came in primarily, I would say pescatarian.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I eat vegan 1/3 of the time.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I would say, well, why? Like, why? And well, it started with, I really wasn't feeling well eating other things, right? Mm-hmm. Well, because if you don't have enough hydrochloric acid, because 2012, what did we have? Hello, H. pylori, right? If we don't have hydrochloric acid or too much of hydrochloric acid, which H. pylori is known for, we get acid reflux and GERD, and it doesn't feel good. So right even from the stomach, Melissa had no chance to start to breaking down things. So it's called putrefaction, where the proteins start to rot and then she doesn't feel good. And then the gallbladder and the attacks on the gallbladder and the toxic bile, and then having the removal and surgery is a trauma on its own. So that gets removed. Then we don't have the emulsification of the fats, because all it does is the little tubey just goes drip, drip, drip with bile all the time into the duodenum. And what happens? It's not there when we eat fats. So again, Melissa, doesn't feel good. Now, mercury, all heavy metals. I mean, Melissa was doing great. All heavy metals were low except for mercury.
Well, yeah, her heavy metals were looking great.
Being a pescatarian, what the heck? Okay, we probably have a source. But then might feel tired, and she might not be able to wound heal or loss of taste, because zinc isn't bioavailable. Iron's not bioavailable because, you have things like mercury interfering. However, one little nugget is this was the most predominant. When clients come in, they upload pictures at the start, left, right, front of the face.
And neck.
Oh, and neck. I mean, if it's on your bum, give me your bum.
We get lots of different kinds of
I
body
get
parts.
Lots. Yes, you show me.
You show me the body parts.
Submit those kinds.
Yeah, Melissa did not submit those kinds, but acne is widespread for everybody.
But the thing is what I have to say is, knowing all these cofactors, right? Knowing that there might be mineral depletion, and knowing, we're not going to go and give her a whole ton of minerals and just say, oh, take all these and you're going to be fine. We have to look on how to make everything work. There's going to be acetyl-CoA, so her energy, right? Calcium and phosphorus is a really good indication. Sometimes when it's low, it's vegan diet, but things can hold here. So meaning when calcium and phosphorus go up, we could have an interconnection of high cholesterol. Well, Melissa's was low. So you see how that's an opportunity to be missed if you're just looking at it. So when we look at those, but we know if she doesn't have a gallbladder, there might be an issue. So what happens is making fat, can't use it, liver's congested, so then we get that gray complexion. And when Melissa came in, there was zero color to the skin complement. It was almost gray-like. Now, when I say gray and somebody else says she's gray, it's different, right? She was not zombie-like. It wasn't deathly. She's not going to be like advertising the next zombie apocalypse, like whatever it is.
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Yeah.
Apocalypse is the word you were going after.
There we go. So these are the things. So in essence, what we had to do is, if she wasn't able to absorb the nutrients because of, antagonists, if you don't have digestive parts, if we're not sure what viruses is, we have to start breaking down the barriers so that she can actually get that nutrient absorption in. And it takes 10 weeks, and it's a slow process, and it's a homeopathic for once a week. And we build on the homeopathics. That's it. We alter some foods, we massage that out, and then we build. So this is what I'm saying over 5 years. It's not that she has to do, and Melissa, we chatted about this. It's not that you have to be in therapeutic protocols for 5 years. However, even something like DGL, mushroom, marshmallow root, really beautiful, calming gut lining, she couldn't even tolerate in the beginning. Because she couldn't even tolerate something that the body can utilize right in the beginning. We knew that the body was so far in that shock-like state that you had to break down the walls that were built to allow the opportunity for things to flow in. That's kind of my rendition.
Yeah, because when Melissa started with us, we had a lot of work to do, especially being on antibiotics for so long. So I know for you, we really started with supporting your digestion, because if we don't have that gallbladder, we want to be supporting and we want to be going after repairing the gut lining, and helping with the different tissues and organs in your body, and even supporting your immune system because of that virus that you had recently had, because you had that in December, right, Melissa? And then you started working with us in February.
Correct. Yeah.
And so for you, at this time of recording, you're about 3-ish months into working with us. So I would love for you to share a little bit, because you're like halfway through the journey so far. Is for you coming in, what was it like for you? What has the experience so far of the journey been like? And have you seen any shifts and changes in not just your skin, but symptoms in general?
Oh, yes. I
love that smile.
I know. I was like so excited to see that.
I love when she does that. Like,
it's
she
so
just
beautiful. Such a warm smile.
The most boisterous
I can't
smile.
even, it's like it's like you sign up, it's like you buy a t-shirt and they send you 5 samples. There was just so many bonuses that I didn't even know I was looking for. So, within 3 weeks, I didn't even know I had brain fog. Like, I've lived a lot of my life by grit and determination and perseverance, overcoming a lot of hard circumstances. And I know you guys have alluded to that too. And so I don't think I realized that I was living in brain fog, because I'm just used to using perseverance and grit. And not that other people don't have it, but I depend on mine so much that I didn't know I had brain fog. I knew I had anxiety and I was managing that. But even the anxiety started to subside, and Chris was able to say, it doesn't surprise me that you have that. And I thought, oh, well, it has surprised me because I wasn't always like this. So that's comforting. And then my skin has just gradually, like, day by day, week by week, it's not perfect, but has been improving. So it reminds me of when you go and you get your hair trimmed or haircut, and the stylist whirls you around in the chair and you're like, whoa, there I am again. Like, that's how my skin feels. It's like, oh, there I am again. But it's not just my skin, it's also my personality and my ability to think and talk and parent and have more compassion in the moment and be in the moment. And those are all still works in progress, but man, that's a lot more than I signed up for or what I thought.
That brings actual tears to my eyes listening to you, to just say like, oh, there I am again. Because like, how long had you been living and not feeling like yourself? And the fact that you're now able to feel better in your own skin and be happier, but even show up, for your family, your children, and having this private boarding school, showing up for the girls and your husband and lovely little Kona, like you don't realize when you're feeling unwell, and like you said, that grit and that resiliency. And I think that's so relatable, because so many women do the same. They're like hanging on to their day by the tips of their fingernails at all time, and it's that pure grit that's keeping them going. So I think that was such a relatable point for you to share. But it trickles into so many areas of your life that you don't realize until you start feeling better.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really, really incredible. So for you, how has that journey been? Has it been linear? Has there been ups? Has there been downs? Has there been challenges, obstacles? Share kind of that kind of stuff with us.
Yeah. I would say now I'm in a pretty good groove, but it was upending in the beginning because I went after things a little too hard.
Like most of us do, 0 to 100.
And, family was nearby, like I have two teenage daughters, and I'm a foodie. I've raised them to eat well, but the pantry got an overhaul, the fridge got an overhaul. I made a way to I live in an apartment, so it's not very spacious because of my job. I found a way to fit a chest freezer in the front closet.
Look at you go. Share your secrets.
We cleared the whole closet out, and I was like, this is the priority. I started, buying local meat and good fish, and cooking is what I've always loved to do. That's my creative outlet. So, it took a while to find my groove, and I did a lot of organizing. But we're there now, and I'm excited to start sharing more and more of those foods with my daughters and with my family. And even the girls that are in my home have been watching, because they're third and fourth grade and they're tender souls. So, and we eat
Special
meals
ages.
together all the time. And I always said I would never eat separately than them. Family dinners are always important to us.
Very.
We sit around the table all together. We eat meals together. And they'll say to me, Mrs. Hannah, I'm so sad that you don't get to have this donut and and I'll say, you know what, guys, I'm okay with it. Like I'm doing what my body needs, and it feels good to do what my body needs. So I know they're watching and learning, and isn't that what we all need to do? And I'm saying that back to them, when they are in their everyday routines, whether it's showering, anything, I do a lot of helping them take care of their physical bodies. And so I'm learning to say back to them, doesn't it feel good to listen to your body, to take care of it.
And I love that you're having such a profound ripple effect from just you. Like you're that drop in the pond and it's rippling out to all of these wonderful humans in your life, right? Now you get to share and lead by example for your daughters and your husband and your family and the girls that you're taking care of. Like girls that are in grades 3 and 4, like that's such a special age, and also such a great age where they're so inquisitive. Like I have a grade 2 boy, so I know he's so inquisitive, and he's like the whys, and I want to know and answer the questions. And why are we doing that? Why are we eating that vegetable? Protein's great for your muscles. So I love that for you, you're having a really incredible ripple effect to these other incredible girls in your life. And we have no idea, like, how is that ripple going to impact as they grow up? And just the fact that you shared, I'm not sad that I'm missing out on the donut. I'm actually feeling good. We have no idea, the effect that that's going to have on those girls to say, oh, okay, it is kind of cool. I can go and eat this salad and this apple, and it is going to make me feel good, and I can feel good in my body.
Yeah. Sometimes they get jealous. They're like, oh, that looks good. I'm like, I know. I made it.
That's so cool. So for you, like, I kind of want to spin this around and ask you, what has it been like for you to be able to really provide this like lead by example with this new, healthy regime that you've been on?
I'm not sure that I know I'm not sure I understand the question.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Yeah. So for you, you said you've always lived well. You've been so, you've been healthy, you've been taking care of yourself, but now you're kind of going that extra mile, and you're explaining to your kids and also the girls that you take care of. For you, how do you feel that by you leading by example is going to be impacting them on their day today?
Gosh, I hope so. I think there's such a disconnect in our culture between food and how we feel in our bodies. And my eyes have been forever opened to what our world is like and the food that is continually offered to us and presented as normal. And it makes me sad. So I'm hoping that both my teenagers, actually my teens have started to snack differently and treat their bodies differently in this time. We've talked a lot about drinking good water and staying hydrated and proteins. And yeah, I'm absolutely hoping that it's contagious, that they think about the foods that they're putting in their body, that they think about where their foods come from. And I'm not going to convince a third or fourth grader that chicken tenders aren't the best thing ever. That's not my goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I do start, they start to make the food body connection and
Mm-hmm.
and it's directly related to how they feel.
Yeah, and I think it's so powerful to be able to teach this to children as well, because imagine we got to learn all of this when we were,
Well,
kids and tweens, like
yeah,
how
I wish.
different this would have been for all of us. But I love how empowering it is to be able to teach, especially, your daughters being teens and, the younger girls, that this can have such a profound impact on their own lives, because they're learning from such a young age how to care for your body, when, so many of us in the society that we grew up in, that wasn't a thing,
No.
when we were growing up. It was a very processed TV dinner, fast food, boxed, frozen, heated up in the microwave type of society. And it's just, I get so excited for this next generation, because they are going to have knowledge that I wish all of us had.
I hope they
Absolutely.
use it.
And I hope they
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We plant the seeds young. They plant the seeds young, and it'll foster into a beautiful flower. So Melissa, I know that you're only halfway through your journey with us, but even in the changes and improvements you've had in your own health and day to day, what really excites you most about that?
I What excites me most is I feel like I know how to live now. And that sounds so basic, but I definitely had hit, I'm 48, so I had hit the age where despite exercising and eating relatively healthy, I was starting to age quickly.
Mhm.
I could see it in my face, and weight gain was happening. And so I was already starting to pursue, the effects of sugar on the body. I had read a book this past fall prior to your program, but now my eyes have been so opened to how my individual body processes food, well, processes or doesn't process, and potential sensitivities that Chris is helping me to figure out, that I feel really empowered to
Mhm.
go live the rest of my life. I'm glad I get to insert this. Um, there is autoimmune disease that runs in my family.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that it is potentially looming.
Mhm.
And I always thought that the bottom would fall out one day with a stroke or, something that I
Mhm.
couldn't foresee. And now I'm thankful that it showed up as acne, because it was so uncomfortable and so visible, which is what makes acne annoying, that I went and got help. And I think I'm going to be able to put off probably what would have been a significant autoimmune disease based on personal family history, trauma, and then, as Chris would say, listening to people in a white coat who maybe had good intentions but led me astray. Um, so this has felt like an interesting last piece, in what has been a long healing journey for me. I have been pursuing emotional health and well-being, um, pretty hardcore for the last 10 years.
Mhm.
Um, and taking care of my body has always been important. So to have this it feels kind of like the last puzzle piece to go live a great life and be able to eat well and feel well. And who knows what life has in store for each of us, right? But I feel really thankful and hopeful.
I
That
do want
like,
to. Oh, sorry.
sorry, I
I
was going to
just
say
want
that
to.
gave me all the feels. I'll let Chris go, because I've been hogging Melissa.
That brings me back to something I don't think I did share, Melissa. I don't share everything, right?
It's hard. She's
Obviously.
like pulling teeth sometimes with this one.
Okay. So no, I don't share everything with clients, right? At certain points in times, there is a time to announce things. There's not a time, right? When you came in, it wasn't the time. It's like you were trying to do it, and we didn't want to impede on that. However, when we knew we had to go and I call it break down the barriers, right? So that's actually a term phrase for something. So when we knew we had to break down the barriers, at that point, Melissa, because you're talking about like the autoimmune, you're talking about like really playing out the history of your family with,
Yes.
autoimmunes. I knew that by doing this, the body had two choices. So this, Melissa, probably the first time you're going to hear this. Whatever it was, like you said, the aging and the rapid and the gray, even the gray hair, it wasn't that beautiful gray we're starting to see in the pictures now, right? That vibrant, the color returning even to the hair itself. That wasn't there. So we knew at that point where it was. Body had two choices. It was going to go deeper. And then we were going to start looking for those autoimmunes because the body would have been like shell shocked. No, don't. I can't, right? Yeah. Or the body had the other choice to have pigment returned. So knowing that, and I was kind of like, let's do updated pictures and let's check in, come to office hours. What do you think I'm looking at?
Improvements
on the pigment of the skin. Yeah. And what in a very short amount of time do we start seeing? The color pigment in the skin, and it's coming back, and the hair and the vibrant, and even the way, say, the curls go, right, versus different things. And I know what it's like to have curly hair. Some guys, you just can't tame them. I get it. So I just want to let everybody listening, and even Melissa, know is congratulations, because your body is choosing response as you are choosing health. So do you see how you have symmetry? Isn't that gorgeous?
It is.
That's gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
So congratulations, because we're on it, right? We're on it. Melissa is on it.
I just want to do that, that celebratory emoji where it's like wearing the hat with like the confetti and the blowhorn. I feel like what I just want to like
make your balloons go again. How do you do it?
I don't know how you make the balloons go. I don't know. If I could, I would have the balloons go. I love that. Well, Melissa, thank you so incredibly much for sharing your journey with us and being so vulnerable, because I know for a fact there is at least one person out there listening thinking, oh my God, me too. I thought I was the only one. Thank you for sharing that. So on behalf of myself and the women listening that are like, thank you so much for sharing. It was such an honor to have you on and to be able to chat through your journey. And we're so excited to watch your coming months unfold with us here in the Clear Skin Solution. And I get so excited, even though I don't work with the clients on a day-to-day basis, I'm behind the scenes and I'm asking about them, and Chris is giving me updates and the coaches are giving me updates. And it's so fun to see the journey that everybody takes and then get to the end. So I'm so pumped for what's to come for you.
Thanks for letting me share my story. It meant a lot.
Thank you. So today, I would love for you to give Kona an extra belly rub from us for being such a good girl, because she was such a good girl. She was just living her best life, hanging out with mom, here for some moral support. Thank you, Kona.
It's so hard. You get distracted, right?
I was like, I just want to go pet her. I just want to go give her a belly rub. So give her an extra belly rub from us.
We're going to have to go to Pennsylvania.
We're going to have to go. Pennsylvania's not too far from me. I'm just in Ontario. All right, Melissa, thank you so much. And thank you, Kona. Have a lovely rest of your day, everybody. Join us next week for another episode here on the Clear Skin Chronicles.
Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.